everyone, Miss Carrie here from the Fairview Boys and Girls Club, and today I've got another super easy crafty video for us to do together. Let's go ahead and get started. So for today's video, we are going to be making our own salt paintings. Something to keep in mind with this activity is it needs to be done in two parts. Part one, you can do in a sitting with all the glue and the salt. Part two, we'll have to wait until at least the next day, and we'll talk about that later. So for this activity, you are going to need some cardstock or other thick paper. If you use construction paper, you might just want to lay an extra piece under it. Some white school glue, some table salt, some liquid watercolors, or you can make your own with water and food coloring, and we will talk about that later in the video. Let's get started. So for this, I've got two contrasting colors of paper, just so you can see what you're working with. You can either freehand this project, which I'm going to show you, or you can draw something out. I'm just going to do something super simple. We're just going to go in, and I'm going to give you a smiley face. So then you're just going to take a pencil and outline where you want your picture to be. Now the thing is, you want to use a pencil, because if you use marker or something similar, the color will actually bleed through the salt and mess up your picture. And I think we'll make him into an emoji. Use one of my favorite ones. So now that we've got our outline, I'm just gonna go on the top of it with some white school glue and just trace over it. And you can fill in areas that you know you want to make all a solid color, or you can just do edges, whatever works for you. So then we're just gonna go around the edge. Make sure it's not so thick that it's running everywhere, but if it's very thin, you won't have anything for the salt to hang on to. So then we're just gonna do some eyes here. And I'm gonna actually fill my eyes in. I know I'm gonna want those. And the beauty of this project is you can make it anything you want it to be. You don't have to follow a pattern or anything. So now that we've got this done, all we're gonna do is take some regular table salt. You don't want the kind that you have to grind up, because it's gonna be a little too thick. You want a nice, thin, loose salt. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take it, and I'm gonna do it in my hand just to keep from making such a mess. But you're just gonna take it and you're just gonna cover everywhere where there's glue. Just cover it. Make sure it's covered with salt. And what you can do is, once you have done that step, you can actually shake the excess off into something. I'm just gonna use this coffee filter. And then you can use that to finish covering any spaces that you have missed. You just want to make sure it's completely covered. And the beauty of this is you get to have fun, be creative, and make a mess. So we're just going to set this little guy aside. So now, for this one, just so you can see it on a different color, I'm just going to freehand something. I'm not going to draw it out. You can make it whatever you want it to be. I think for this, I think we need a nice big flower for spring. And all I've done is just put the glue wherever I felt it needed. You know what? We'll put a stem on him. maybe a little petal or a leaf. We'll fill that in. Well, I know I want that to be all green. And again, we're just gonna take the salt and cover everywhere where you see glue. And the beauty of this, if you don't do this, if you can do this inside or outside, if you do it inside, it's easy to sweep up or vacuum up, no problem. No harm in making a mess now and then. Especially when you're learning and having fun. And just make sure all the thick parts are covered. And there you have it. So I'm going to set this aside, and then we're going to talk about step 2. So step 2 involves putting color into your picture. Now, after you've done step 1, it's best to wait about 24 hours before you start trying to add color, just to make sure that the glue is dry. I've already got one done that I'm going to show you at the end of this video. But just make sure once you do this, let the glue dry. If it gets dry in 6 hours, go for it. So what you're going to need for the next part of this is liquid watercolor, or you can make your own liquid watercolor, which you can see I have done here, but I'm going to show you how. So all you're going to need to make your liquid watercolor is a little bit of water. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got some water in there. And the color of your choice. Since I've already got kind of like the full rainbow over there, I'm going to make a little blue-green. So all I'm going to do is just in my little bit of water, you can use a jar, a bowl, whatever you have. You just need a little bit of water in the bottom. And you're going to drop in whatever you think you'll need to make your color. And you can experiment with this, see how many drops you need to make a good yellow, or how many drops of red and yellow you need to make orange. This is where you get to be the scientist and figure out what works for you. So I've got these little droppers, and I'm just gonna mix that up. So I've got kind of a nice in-between color. Super easy, and you can do this with just water and food coloring. So next, we're going to actually add the color. Just remember to make sure you have waited about 24 hours. You have shook off any excess salt that's come loose, and then you will have your picture. This is the one I've done yesterday, and we're going to add some color to it. So all you need is paintbrush. I've got these droppers. Use whatever you like to get some color onto your picture. Be creative. So we're just going to take a little of our colors, and we're just going to drop it on and see what works. So I'm going to take, with my dropper, I'm going to take a little bit of green. You see I've got some green in there, and I'm going to see if I can make my grass green. Watch what happens with just one drop of this color. Look how fast the salt absorbed that. So you don't need to put a whole lot. Just kind of put down a drop at a time, because it will spread out. If you put too much, your painting is just going to get very soggy, and you're going to have a mess on your hands. Your paper is probably going to turn a little dark. So just be careful while doing this part. And let's put a little on the flower too. And you see, just a drop at a time is all you need. And it fills it in perfectly. So then we're going to take a little yellow. I've got some yellow mixed up over here. And we're going to kind of fill in the sun. And you see, just a little bit at a time. just runs down those sun rays. And we'll put a little there. And I'm even gonna go with, I'm gonna put a little orange with it too. Why not? So next, I'm gonna take, I think I want some red in my flower. I'll put some red here. And it's going to follow wherever you've got the salt. And then I'm gonna come in with a little bit of purple. And just fill that in. We'll put a little yellow in the middle. And then we're gonna come in, take some of our blue, put on these Easter eggs. That kind of matches the background, doesn't it? And I think I might even want a little blue in my cloud, so I'm just gonna put a couple drops. And then we'll take some of this kind of blue-green teal that we made. And we'll just drop on these eggs. So there you have it. Super easy. You can make all this at home. Remember, all you need to do is wait 24 hours between putting the glue down and putting the color down. I hope everyone enjoyed today's video. If you try it out, let us know in the comments. Let us know how you felt about it. Make it your own and enjoy doing art. I'd like to have a shout out to my Fairview Boys and Girls Club members. I miss you all. All of your staff misses you, and we can't wait till we can all be together again. Everyone have a wonderful day. Bye.